Michu had a wedding in the circus, and it was a wedding with a little girl he was talking about, a little woman. And they used to say during the production, they say, like say live, except for, and instead of him saying I do, he'd say fuck you on the mic, right? I mean, I wasn't on the show during that time, so other people were, but through the years we heard all these stories. And so the first time I met Michu, I was in clown college, and it was 1981. This is Venice, Florida, and I remember being in the back lot and seeing this, I thought it was a girl with a briefcase, walking in the back lot, smoking the beds in the hedge of cigarettes. You know, I'm like, oh my God, look at that little girl smoking, you know? And it was Michu. That was the first time I met Michu. And I was like, oh my God, you know? And he had a manager or somebody with him all the time. And I couldn't even like say hello to him. I never thought I'd have a relationship with him. So in '82, I joined this circus as a clown with my girlfriend at the time, Laura. And at some point, there was a guy named Charlie Bauman. Charlie Bauman was the performance director. Yeah, Charlie! So Charlie was a big German guy. He did the Cats, and he was the performance director. And they needed someone to be a caretaker for Michu and bring him from city to city. So my girlfriend at the time, Laura, and I said, yeah, we'll drive him home, you know? Had no idea what that was going to be like. So we would drive from city to city, and we actually established a really nice relationship with him. And we used to give him Father's Day cards and different things like that. We spent really good quality time with him. But at the time, he was drinking alcohol, and a lot of alcohol. And people thought it was funny to get him drunk. I never thought it was funny. I just didn't like it. So during that process, Michu had fallen down, he was coughing up blood, and he was also still smoking. So during that process, we had to bring him to the doctors. But he never wanted to go to a doctor because he was afraid that they were going to use him as an experiment. So we had to find a Hungarian doctor. Everything had to be Hungarian. And we didn't have cell phones back then. We're talking about 82, 83. And so we found a doctor, and he quit smoking. I quit smoking with him. I was actually smoking at the time. He stopped coughing up blood, so his health was getting better. And then he fell, he's still drinking, he fell and broke his tooth. So he came in the next day and had a snaggle tooth. And the big Charlie Bauman said, you can't have a blood. You gotta find a dentist. And a Hungarian dentist. So we actually found the dentist, the Hungarian dentist, and they made the smallest denture. And he was wearing dentures. But he didn't know about, what is it called, Efferdent? Is that what it, polygraph and everything? He didn't know about that. So I was trying to tell him, you gotta take him out, you gotta put him in the thing. That was a whole process. But during the road, we got to work together. And during the show, the first clown gag I worked with Michu was called Dr. Michu. And Dr. Michu was a clown gag with the clowns. And Michu worked a lot with the clowns. And we had a guy named Richard Fick, who was a senior clown. God bless Richard, he was a great guy. 6'6" or something like that. And he had a doctor's bag that said Dr. Michu. And in that bag was Michu. And I was the patient on the table with a balloon in my stomach. They had somebody underneath squirting water and kind of stuff. So what they would do is they would put the doctor's bag on the table, take Michu out, and put him on the table, and he was the doctor. He was going to operate on me. But what most people didn't know, when he operated on me, he was kicking me in the head. Like he was standing next to me, kicking me in the head. So I proceeded to pinch him in his leg. And we were doing this over a long period of time. And then one time he came up to me and said, John, Tommy, you're blind, he has to stop pinching me. I said, what? He got to stop pinching me. He pulled up his leg. It's all black and blue. I felt so bad. Then I got a chance to drive around in a car with him. And this is one of the things. The team Michu and I together when I was doing the Human Clowning Ball. So I was shooting out of the cannon as a clown. So Michu and I would ride around in this Bugatti car. And he's behind me again. What was he doing? Kicking me in the head. And but we had a really good relationship. And Michu for us and most of the clowns was like, I don't know, it was just different, Some people couldn't tolerate him because he was very rough and edgy. But until you knew Michu, you could really have a really found respect for him as a person. You could just imagine what he went through as a person 32 inches tall, right? For me, I would pick him up right away and just carry him. It's just the relationship I had. I didn't see him for almost like 6-7 years. As soon as I seen him, I picked him up, and my kids knew about him. I have pictures of my kids when they were younger, but they don't remember
and we have multiple pictures like this with other family members and stuff. But right now, my wife is up there with me. My wife's in heaven. So Michu and my wife are probably doing some crazy stuff up there and having a good time. But I quite comfortable knowing that they're together and they're spending wonderful quality time together. He was a wonderful man, a man that unless you met him, you would never understand. And like everything else, when we first meet somebody, we judge them for their appearance. And what I try to tell people is to try not to judge people by their appearance. Try to know what they are inside. And Michu, I've never seen his height. I've seen him from Michu, nobody knew he was as a person. And do you know the story about Michael Jackson and Michu? Okay, so let me tell you a story about Michael Jackson. It goes to Chandra and Elizabeth as well. Well, I was very good friends with him. I spent a lot of time with Chandra and Elizabeth as well. Wonderful, wonderful couple. So Michael Jackson loved the circus, and he used to come in disguise. And all the clowns knew it was him. He had his entourage. He had a horrible disguise, and he just loved the circus. Well, we're in Nassau Coliseum, and we get a phone call. The publicist gets a phone call from Jackson's reps and said he wants to meet Michu, the smallest man in the world. So the rep comes to me and says, you know, Michael Jackson wants to meet Michu. What? Michael Jackson? Of course he's going to meet him. So I tell him yes. I go back to Michu. I said, Michu, Michael Jackson wants to meet you. Michael Jackson, fuck him. Fuck him, I'm not meeting him. He's filming the video bad in New York. He wants to say, no, I'm not meeting him. Now what am I going to do? Chandra and Elizabeth. So I go to Chandra and Elizabeth, and they say yes. Right? So we get the message back to Michael. Michael said, okay, we'll send you the car. I had a great picture of Chandra and Elizabeth, myself, Michael Jackson, sitting in his dressing room. He had director's chairs for us, and he couldn't have been any sweeter to us during the time. Now, full circle, Michael Jackson and Michu actually became very good friends. And Michael Jackson and Priscilla Presley, Michu, went on their honeymoon to Budapest, Hungary. Right? And Michu introduced them to all the dignitaries there. And then he did Michu was the seventh born in his family. And Michu, in English, is Michael, isn't it? Yeah. So Michu's name was Michael. Isn't that great? Isn't that crazy? So I treasure this. I treasure the relationship we had. Yeah, he was a good guy, you know. And he deserves so much more than what he's got in life. Than the rough times he had. And he always made the best. He always made the best of his life. And he always treated us in his own way, in a wonderful way, and we are all blessed to have known him. And hip hip hooray for Michu. Hip hip hooray! And just so you know, Valhalla in the Clown Alley is what we talked about all the time in the Clown Alley. Clown Alley is Valhalla, it's God's place, right? And now this is where Michu is going to finally be rested right here in Valhalla. Let's hear from Michu.